so good. It is so thick. There's a lot of girls kissing girls and doing things with girls. Is long, honey. I think that he is so fine. Hey besties, welcome back to Vlogmas day 12. Yay! I cannot believe that we are done with Vlogmas, you guys. It has been a wild ride, okay? So today's video, I'm gonna be sharing with you guys 20 books that I loved in 2025. So let's come along, because I'm so excited to share these with you. A couple of books that I do not have in physical that I wanted to mention. First book being Loud by Giraffe Wallow. This is so good. I think that so many women should read this book. I actually listened to it on Libby, which was just such an amazing experience. Honestly recommend, because it's really cool since Drew herself is the one who does the narration for it. It's amazing to listen in her voice. Highly recommend. This book talks so much about internalized misogyny. It talks so much about the patriarchy and just giving you a little bit more of an insight rather than just like men suck, but giving you like a truly well done explanation of different topics and also a better understanding of what it is and what it looks like as well. I honestly was just so astounded. I was super impressed, and I think that she should just continue to write books. Like, honestly, I don't know if she wrote it on her own or what, but it was one of my favorite books of this year. I actually listened to it and I would do it again. The next book that I listened to that is not in my possession because I have not picked up the physical copy is The Third Gilmore Girl by Kelly Bishop. I loved this book. As a huge fan of Gilmore Girls, I highly recommend. Again, a book that is narrated by the author. It is so good, and I really enjoyed her story. I think that she is super resilient and she has been through so much, and it wasn't one of those memoirs that is very like sad and just filled with sadness. It was super real, super interesting, and I highly enjoyed it. I think that if you're a fan of Gilmore Girls, you will also enjoy listening to this book. Her journey as a child learning ballet and being in love with dance, and then how that turned into being the cast of A Chorus Line, and that turned into getting into acting. Talks about so many of her different experiences in the acting realm, and talks about her time on Gilmore Girls. So I loved it so much. She is such an amazing person. Like, you can just tell from the way that she talks, and I think she's an iconic character. She's an iconic woman, and she deserves all of the recognition for it. Okay, moving on to books that I do have the physical copy of. We're gonna start with an author that I discovered this year, which is gonna be Kristen Hanna. We're starting with The Great Alone by Kristen Hanna. I loved this book. This talks about Lenny and her family as they journey to live in Alaska for the first time ever, and they are struggling. They're experiencing tons of personal family problems. There is domestic abuse, there is a love story, there's a story of family and community, and I highly recommend it. It's definitely a tearjerker. It made me cry. This was such a good introduction to Kristen Hanna. The next Kristen Hanna book I have is The Women. I loved this story. It is so heartbreaking, and our female main character Frankie goes through so much. She basically follows her brother off into the Vietnam War to go serve her country as a nurse. Before she leaves, she finds out that her brother has passed away, and she ends up going anyways, because when you sign up for the army, you gotta go. And so she ends up going to serve her country, and she sees so many traumatic things. She experiences so much trauma. She experiences heartache and love for the first time. She finds community with the other women around her, and so much loss as well, because when you're in a war zone, quite literally, you know, it's extremely difficult. And then she returns home to a country that is disgusted by her. People are literally spitting at her as she is walking off the plane. It is very sad to see how much she went through, and then she gets back and people hate her. The country hates her. The public hates her. And she is suffering through mental illness, PTSD, trauma, heartache. and she's just trying to find her bearings in life because she went into the military so early and so young that, you know, she's trying to find who she is at this time. I'm gonna move the curtain because I feel like the sun is not doing me any favors right now. But yeah, I really enjoyed this book, and Kristen Hanna's writing is just so easy to digest. I'm gonna be reading The Nightingale by her, and I just know it's gonna be so painful, but I can do it. Okay, next is a book that I read for book club this year. I really liked this book. I think that it is one of those that didn't necessarily have a huge emotional plot line. Like, there wasn't too much emotion here. I think it's also just a really good commentary on a real life case that happened. It has so much commentary on beauty standards, on misogyny, the patriarchy, and I just think that it's really great to read and also discuss in a group. Also, if you guys have not started your own book club and you're a fan of reading, start your own book club. I promise you, it'll be the best thing you do. Honestly, I started my own book club over a year ago now, last October, I believe. I really, really loved reading this book in a group setting, and that's gonna be Butter by Asako Yuzuki. This was originally written in Japanese, translated to English. I love this. It follows the female journalist Rika, who is trying to figure out what is going on with this woman, Manako Kaji. Essentially, Manako Kaji is on trial for unaliving her 3 boyfriends who are much older than her, and she is just a male hustler. She be hustling men, okay? Like, she does not care. They pay for her lifestyle. She loves cooking. She loves eating. She loves food. She has a whole food blog. And essentially, the public hated her, okay? Even though there was no real evidence linking her to the murders, right? There is no real evidence, at least not in this book. We don't know in real life. I would love to look in that case. But essentially, there's no real evidence, but the public hates her because she's fat, and because why would men like her? She's ugly, and, you know, she's not skinny, and just all these fat-phobic, misogynistic, male gaze ideologies that people have, they are projecting onto her. The public hated her, and she didn't do any interviews with anybody until Rika showed an interest in her cooking and her recipes and the things that she talked about in her food blog, and that is why the book is called Butter. At the same time that that's going on, Rika is going on her own journey when it comes to learning about herself and her tendency to be misogynistic internally, and also finding herself. She starts off the book in a relationship that is very disconnected, that doesn't seem like a real relationship, you know? And she's almost just very alone, very to herself, very skinny, does not enjoy life, does not eat. And she learns tons of things from Manako Kaji about herself, and she also learns through her own experiences what she is and what she isn't. And it is just such a good book, chock full of so many different topics that I think people should really think about. Okay, into some of the fun stuff. We have our first little romance, and that's gonna be Before I Let Go by Kennedy Ryan. This book had me on the edge of my seat. I love second chance romance when it's not cheating. I loved this. This story is so beautiful. This follows, I believe, Yasmin and Josiah. They have been previously married. They've been divorced for a while. They experienced something very traumatic together in their relationship, and that led them to be disconnected and eventually get a divorce. And this follows them as they try to like co-parent and move on almost. And it is so good. It is so like heartbreaking, but also just like warm, and it has all of the good feels. So I highly recommend you check this out if you're looking for a romance. I think it's very adult. It really shows the true struggles of parents and of, you know, people in their 30s and 40s trying to find love. Okay, next we have probably my second favorite thriller of the year. My first favorite is in our top 5 at the end of this video, but this is The Only One Left by Riley Sager. I loved this book. This is following a female main character named Kit, or Kat. Kit gets in trouble for something we don't find out until later in the book, and I'm not gonna tell you. But she was a caregiver, and she gets in trouble for doing something because something happened to one of her patients in her care, and she goes and gets suspended, and then they find her like they have no way to like fire her for it. So she goes back to her old job because she can't get a job anywhere else because all around town people think that she's like a horrible person or whatever. So she ends up going to work for this older woman who lives like on the edge of a cliff named Lenora Hope. Now, the Hope house is a house where something really, really tragic had happened when Lenora Lenora Hope was like 16 years old, which was her entire family was murdered in the house and she was left there. She can't really move or walk or talk or do anything. And so Kit ends up becoming her caregiver, and it is very eerie. And the twists in this book are so good. They don't feel over exaggerated or impossible or like they came totally out of left field. I really, really enjoyed it. I would love to read more of Riley Sager's books and just see more of his stories. He really killed it. He did that thing, so highly recommend. Next, I'm adding these two because I really, really liked this duology, and that is gonna be the Wicked Games duology. Wait, is it Wicked Games? Yep, I knew it. It's the Wicked Games duology by Kaylee Smith. At least I think that this is like the only two books. I don't know if there's gonna be more, but this essentially follows two sisters in their love stories, and it includes like demons and different magic systems and devils and things like that, and trials and tribulations in both books. And oh my God, the tension in both of these books is so good. It is so thick, okay? This is one of those books that I kept seeing on TikTok and I was like, is it really that good? It's probably like just a really crappy romantasy. No, it is so, so, so good. The first book follows Ophi and this one follows Genevieve. So you get a little bit more in this book because Genevieve travels to a different place and we learn a little bit more about how this world works. It is so interesting. I loved it. Oh my God. My favorite MMC is gonna be Roman Silver. I think that he is so fine. He is literally like, touch her and you die. Okay, next on the train of like popular romantasy that really did do it for me this year, we're gonna be talking about the last book in the Powerless trilogy. This is Fearless. I loved this book. Okay, this book made me sob. I have an entire reading vlog for it, so go watch it. I will go more into detail there. But just know that this was like such a good wrap up. We get to see more of like this world. And chapter 50, is it 55 or 45? I don't know. There's a chapter towards the end of here. I literally will never forgive Laura Roberts for that because homegirl gave me a heart attack. She made me lose my mind. She made me cry. She made me sob. And I was very, very scared. That one is just chef's kiss, honestly. That's all I have to say. Okay, moving on to one of the authors that I loved this year. That author is going to be R.F. Kuang, okay? Next is Catabasis. I wish that this was a little bit higher on my list, I'm not gonna lie. If I'm basing my opinions off of like the first 3/4 of this book, I would say that it's definitely top 10. But because of the way that it ended, I just kind of felt like we were in a totally different book. And I don't know, but I really liked this book. I just felt like the ending was so strange. But yeah, I still recommend. It was good. I love the dark academia. I love just like, I feel like I'm soaking it into my brain and I'm getting freaking smarter. Okay, I think I still rated this like 4.5 stars. Definitely up there for me. Next by R.F. Kuang, we have the Poppy War trilogy. I am almost done with The Burning God, okay? I'm like 70% of the way through. I have not finished it, but it is so good. By the end of the year, I will be done with it. So we're gonna add it in here, but I only have these two of this edition of the books and they're so beautiful. They also have like illustrations on the inside, like, hello? So good. Love these books, okay? If you want war, these are for you. If you don't like war, if you don't like political intrigue, it's not for you because there's no romance, but this war is long, honey. The Poppy War is long, all right? But it is so worth it. Rin as a character, very annoying. Very fucking annoying. I hate that bitch. She be making dumb decisions. But I also kind of love her, and I'm rooting for her. So, highly recommend the Poppy War trilogy. Essentially, it's about this girl named Rin who is an orphan, and she wants to get out of like her crappy foster home where they like sell opium illegally or poppy seeds or something like that illegally. And she is like, okay, Queen, I'm gonna leave this town. And they're like, Queen, the only way to leave this town is if you go to like a war college, and the only war college that you can get into for free because your family can't afford to pay for you to go is the hardest one to get into. So, and people be studying their entire lives to get there. And she's like knocking on the door of this guy who teaches people how to take the test. And she's like, King, will you help me? And he's like, yes. And she essentially like tortures herself for like 2 months before she has to take this test. And she passes and she gets into the war college, and then she discovers that she has shamanistic powers, and it is so, so good. Okay, next. I know that this book being so low on the list is gonna hurt some people. And the only reason why I say that it's this low on the list, which is still like top 10 of the year, okay? But the only reason why it's super low on this list is because I felt like this book didn't hit as hard as I thought it was gonna be. And it's because there was like so much anticipation for this book. I read it like 3 days after it came out, and I think maybe I rushed my way through it. I felt like the ending was really rushed. I felt like, I don't know, like when I think back on it, I'm like, that was so good. But when I was like reading it, I was just kind of like going through the motions, and I feel like I needed to like take my time with it. So before the next book comes out, I will be doing a reread of the entire series. And that's gonna be Onyx Storm by Rebecca Yarros. I liked it the second time around too, but it just wasn't a perfect 5-star for me. I think I might have rated this like a 4.25. Just saying, I think it's gonna be like a 4.5, not a 4.25, but I don't know. I felt like I was just underwhelmed by this. I felt like there was so much hype for like what was gonna happen, and really other than like the last 2 chapters, I felt like I don't remember anything that happened in this book. To be honest with you, like I could not recall anything and I just listened to it again in August. Like that is how little it retained in my brain, which is why it's not in the top 5. But it is in the top 10 because it was good. I did like it. I don't know. I don't really know. Okay, next is another romance, and that is gonna be Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. I read this for the first time this year, you guys, and I loved it. It was so cute. It was so cute. I'm still thinking about it. I'm still thinking about the romance. It is very much like real life people with real life problems doing real life things in a real life romance. It did not feel like Hallmarky. It didn't feel corny. It didn't feel unrealistic. It felt like real people were telling me their love story, and I loved it. Okay, next is a very, very recent read of mine, and that's gonna be Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil by V.E. Schwab. This is so good. So good, okay? I love it. I love it, okay? This is essentially a sapphic. There's a lot of the sapphic in here. Just be ready, queen. Just be ready. There's a lot of lesbian in this. There's a lot of lesbian in this book. And I appreciate it. I can love it and I can appreciate it. There's a lot of girls kissing girls and doing things to girls. But it's a sapphic vampire fantasy. I would not call this a romantasy at all. It is not that. Essentially, we get the perspectives of 3 different women. We get the perspective from Maria, from Alice, and from Charlotte, who comes way later in the book. They all experience vampirism and turning into a vampire at different eras in history, but there's so much of the same themes, like women's roles and like the oppression of women and the lack of respect for women in all of these eras. Even Alice, who's literally in 2019 and experiencing this insatiable hunger for multiple things, okay? Like, it's a vampire book. Obviously, there's going to be bloodlust, but this book is more than just the bloodlust. It is about hunger, like food hunger. It's about hunger for power, hunger for love, hunger for independence, hunger just as women, like that rage we can feel and that is forced upon us because one day we wake up and we realize that the world is not in our favor, and it is like really, really difficult to come to terms with that. And we see different women handle that in different ways. Maria specifically, she handles it in a way of like, I'm going to come at the world and I'm going to take over, and I'm so hungry for power. She does everything in her being that is possible to have power over other people because she feels powerless. Sorry, my cat is having a full spasm on the cat tree right now. It is so funny. But Maria, she just has like an insatiable hunger for control and power, and it is so interesting to see. And also, this is like a story of family, found family, and the writing, like V.E. Schwab's writing is just, it's amazing. Honestly, I can't wait to read more of her books. But yeah, I highly recommend this. If you haven't picked this up yet, it came out this year. It's so worth it. This was my 5th favorite book of the year. So, okay, my 4th favorite book of this year is going to be Tender is the Flesh by Agustina Basterica. I loved this book. Okay, another book that I read recently. Oh my God. This is a dystopian novel about what would happen if there was a virus that took over all the animals and all of like the meat, essentially, that made it inedible, or it would kill humans. And if humans decided not to be vegan and instead eat other people. Yeah. It is a commentary on capitalism, on greed, on hunger. It is how it talks about how we treat other people, these heads, these people that are considered meat. They're bred for becoming meat. Like, we rip out their tonsils and their vocal cords so they can't speak. And there's just, it is so gory and so disturbing, but in such a poetic way. Like, it's a very short book and it is so well done, and it says so much about where we are in society, because I'm not gonna lie, I can see this happening. I can see this happening. The government lies to these people and tells them that veganism isn't good for them, that plant protein isn't enough, right? And then there's people who say there isn't even a virus. Like, we killed all of our animals for no reason. And it's just the government trying to lie to us to control the population. And it is just so disturbing and so sad. My third favorite book of the year is going to be Shark Heart by Emily Hayback. Obviously, I love this book. Oh my God. I cannot tell you guys how much I loved this story. It follows Lewis and Ren, and Lewis gets a diagnosis for slowly becoming a shark, because in this world, it's like the modern world, but basically in this world, take like every terminal illness, like cancer, dementia, Alzheimer's, that like makes people lose their mind a little bit. Take that and turn it into like slowly turning into an animal. And like the severity of your disease means like the severity of like what kind of animal you'll become. Because like obviously if you slowly are becoming a chipmunk, that's not a big deal, because like your family can just keep you. Like you'll be a cute little chipmunk. But if you're slowly turning into a shark, like you're a predator. Like, you will hurt your family, and you also cannot breathe outside of the ocean. You need to live in the ocean. And it is just so heartbreaking and so sad. It's about grief and love and family and loss. It's such a good take on how difficult it is to live through grief and how to move on and still be happy with your life when you feel like you've lost everything. And what Lewis and Ren go through is just so sad, and their love for each other is so pure and beautiful. And Shark Heart will always have a very, very special place in my heart, and I'm so happy that I decided to read this book. Emily Hayback, you did your thing with this, girl. I sobbed. The last two books on this list are hefty boys, okay? They're big fatties, all right? Okay, so we'll start with number 2, okay? And that is going to be Kingdom of Ash by Sarah J. Maas, okay? I'm telling you, if you have not read the Throne of Glass series because you're like, I don't know if it's gonna be good. It is so good. There is so much that happens in this book. It's mostly like war, political intrigue, but like, oh my God, I literally cannot scroll TikTok ever at all, because y'all are constantly throwing Live Manon Live in my face. Y'all are constantly throwing these references. I'm like, girl, let me breathe. But I don't know what else to tell you. This book was just so good. I don't want to tell you really what happens in it, because that would be a spoiler for all of the other 7 books in the series. But man, oh man. Now, we're going to be talking about probably my favorite book I've read this entire year. And honest to God, I think that this will be my favorite book that I've read probably in my adult life, okay? And what book is that, you might be asking? Oh, okay, let me tell you, okay? Ta-da! Alchemized by Senlin Yu, okay? This is so good, okay? Now, let me give you some lore. Essentially, this book was originally a fanfic on AO3 written by Senlin Yu, and it was a Dramini fanfic, okay? It was called Manacled, whatever. This is not that, okay? It's just not. It's not a Dramini fanfic at all, okay? They don't even really use like their likeness in the book. So let me tell you a little bit about this book without spoiling it, but it is 1,000 pages. Our female main character, Helena, who wakes up in like a incubation tube or something, like she wakes up in like one of those tubes or whatever, I don't know, that like sci-fi, like where people sleep for like years or whatever, and then they wake you up later. Yeah, she wakes up in one of those, and she's being like poked and prodded by this like evil scientist bitch, and she's like, who are you and what are you doing here? And there's no record of you on the books. And then they find the records of her, but then it said that like she had died or something, but she didn't. And then they found her in this tube, and she had like 2 different prisoner numbers. They don't really know who she is, and then they figure out that she was a healer for the resistant. They don't really know what like Helena's significance is, and they know she's significant because they try to go in her little brain. They try to like Bluetooth connect, and it doesn't work. It doesn't work. All of her memory is gone. You can't find them. You can't see them. You want to know why? Because her brain is rewired, essentially. It's like, think of it as a maze, and like as you're walking down the maze, there's a giant wall that just like comes up in front of you, and you slam right into it. You can't get in there, okay? And so they're kind of like, what's being hidden in your brain? Like, what do you know that other people don't want anybody else to know? Like, this is a very difficult task to accomplish. How did you do this? And why are you so important that somebody did this to you? Because it's quite literally impossible. So the fact that somebody did this to you, and it's impossible, and you are working for the resistance, and there's no record that we have of you for the resistance, why? And so what they do is they take her up with a little High Reeve, because little High Reeve is a scary man. He's like the executioner. He's like the baddie. He's like the general of the army. He's the badass. He's not the one in charge. Murrow's the one in charge, but he is the scary one. He's the very powerful one, okay? And so they take her to the High Reeve, where he then holds her captive and tries to figure out what happened to her and why she is significant and why somebody did this to her brain and how to undo it. And that's all I'm gonna tell you. That's all I'm going to tell you, but I do have an entire reading vlog for that, so go check it out. I will put it in the link after this video is over so that you can just go straight into that video, because oh my god, it's so good. That's it. That's pretty much it for my top books of 2025. I hope you guys enjoyed them. If you have read these books, let me know what you thought. If you haven't, add them to your TBR right now, because Queen, they are so good. I'm super excited for next year. Thank you guys so much for watching Vlogmas, you guys. This is the last day. I will be back with my November, December wrap up. So look out for that. And then we'll also be doing like an end of the year book tag. So look out for that. I love you guys so much. Have a beautiful, wonderful day. And I will see you guys next time with another new video. Bye.